If you set a limit order for the current price, the bots have to have a little bit of room to transact, but you're not going to pay any transaction fee. The person that is making that market sell will be the one that pays the fee.
Do you let's talk about some strategies for people, because obviously people are going to be interacting with hex for the next 15 plus years, obviously, on Ethereum. So it's important that they also do understand ways to kind of optimize things there while they maybe onboard more to Pulse Chain and look to move more transactions there. But on Ethereum, for example, are there any strategies, Ewok, you can talk about? Now, we'll get into actually setting limit orders to buy and sell, I guess, if you technically want to, hex on Ethereum for much cheaper, which is, I think, something that most people don't do. They're used to just buying market price through Uniswap. But in terms of actual transactions, do you have any strategies for people about setting transactions, like little things you can do to lower the gas fees if you are ending a mint or even buying hex or whatever it may be? People I know in the past have talked about lowering the fee, but trying to do a higher tip somewhere in the
Mhm.
settings for the validator. What are some of your ideas around that? Because again, yeah, Pulse Chain is here and we're happy, and that's what we're going to talk about. But people are still going to have to transact on ETH. So,
Yep.
what are some of those strategies that you use?
Well, so I'm using one currently, and it's been about 2 days, I think. I set the GWEI at 40, and I put the tip up to like 6.5, which was like a $30 tip, I think.
Hmm.
And the transaction still has not been accepted.
Wow.
So it's kind of just hanging out there. I haven't seen it get any lower than 70 or 80. So I'm hoping if it falls to 50-ish that someone will grab it. I know the validators can see the transactions that are out there and see that if there's a tip in there for them, like a priority kind of thing, they can include what they want on a less full block. So that is one of the strategies that you can use. Now, I don't know how close you have to be or how far off that they'll include them. I guess it really depends on the validator that's going to grab it and take the tip. But it's kind of been a test for me to see how close. I couldn't justify spending another $400 or $500 again to end a stake. So yeah, and I have
Right.
two of them that are that are really close to or the two that are done, but I have 2 weeks. So
Right.
to answer your other question, buying hex, even if you go to matcha.xyz, set a limit order with USDC, you can set it for the current price. As long as the price fluctuates just a little bit away from it, if you set a limit order for the current price, the bots have to have a little bit of room to transact, but you're not going to pay any transaction fee. The person that is making that market sell will be the one that pays the fee. So keep that in mind. You can actually do buys and sells if you do limit orders, and you can pretty much do it right at the price that it's at. You don't have to set the limit order way far off or whatever. You can set it for the current price and hopefully catch one of those and get away with a gasless transaction. Because, as I said, with limit orders, the person buying or selling into your order will pay the gas fee. So that's a nice little, um, you know, freebie kind of thing. Um,
Yeah. Go ahead.
I know you did it the other day, and you're like, "Oh, well, shit, I didn't even know about that," and I'm going to do that from now on. It just makes sense, especially when the gas fees are really high. So,
Yeah, well, I knew about it, but it's one of those things where, like, setting limit orders versus just wanting to buy. But it really, yeah, you don't really have to set. I mean, you don't have to try to scalp a low price or anything,
no,
like you said, Ewok. I mean, you can literally just set it for right where the market is, presumably meaning you're easily going to hit your target pretty soon. So,
Yep.
I think it kind of lends itself probably to like, I mean, everybody can do whatever they want, but I think it probably lends itself a little bit to maybe bigger DCAs, if you want to just throw like a big chunk in or something like that at once. But yeah, it's absolutely the way to go. I mean, if you don't have to pay the fee, I mean, yeah, maybe you don't have the pleasure of just immediately watching your order go through and adding it into your portfolio or whatever. But I'd rather just not waste money.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah. So yeah, matcha.xyz. I put it
Yep.
in the chat for everybody as well. And I think
Yep.
most people are aware of it, but I mean, I don't hear it talked about too often. I mean, usually people just talk about the classic Uniswap way of doing things.
Right. Well, and there is Uniswap v3, which is the way of, setting your liquidity, basically, is what you're doing as a sell wall. So if it goes up into that, you'll end up if you put hex in there to sell, um, you end up with USDC or whatever it is, but you have to pull that USDC out. Or if it goes back down, it will refill as hex. So you have to kind of be very careful of that, doing it that way. So
Yeah.
there is another strategy though that people aren't really talking a whole lot about, with making stakes, because we don't know what it's going to be like in 15 years. And I think people forget the HSI
Hmm.
uh, thing, and there are a couple different platforms out there that are kind of pooling together. You can set a pool with a date and things in there, and if people have so long to get into it, and then it starts, where then everybody at the end of that stake will chip in for the gas fees. It's not all on your shoulders, so that makes it nice as well. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it. I know there were two different groups. One was Magic Carpet Ride, and the other was the pool party um, thing done by the dip catcher guys from Maximus and Decimus
Oh
and,
yeah.
and that group. So a couple different groups, just but something to look into. Where if everybody's going to kind of chip in on the gas fee, it makes it nice. One person pays for it, and then as you end your stake, you pay a little bit of ETH, like one percentage of whatever the final amount was, and then it kind of reimburses that first person. So it's
Right.
pretty cool ideas. We have some very smart people that are uh, in the community that have created some things to try and mitigate some of these costs. So take
Yeah,
advantage of them.
and yeah, definitely good on you for mentioning the HSI stakes, which is just the hex stake instance. Now, you actually do those on icosa.pro, correct? That's where you
Correct.
can,
Yep.
yeah, do them out of there. So basically, what that is a way that you would do your mint or your mining of hex basically, and it is you actually be able to take collateral out on it right away with the hedron that you would hypothetically earn over the course of the hex contract,
Right.
or of the hex mint, I should say. Could you talk a little bit more about that? And have you chosen to do those a lot? Because I think some people are hesitant just because I don't know, maybe they just having never done it before, they want to make sure they're just interacting directly with the hex protocol or whatever. But yeah, it is another good way of doing things for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple HSIs. I get bored with the regular contract, and I think I'm like, I might as well let's do one of those today, instead. So yeah, I mean, basically, what it does is it goes through the contract. It still goes through the hex contract. You're making
Right.
with the hedron stake instance, but like you said, you can take the collateral out right immediately. You don't have to. You don't have to do any of that at all, but you always have that option, to where you could pull value out of it, 5-10 years down the road. If you have a 15-year stake, and you want to pull some of that value out, you could take a loan against it.
Hmm.
And who knows what hedron will be at that point. As long as you
Yeah,
pay it
really.
back, your instance is still good. It's when you don't make payment that then goes up for auction, and somebody else has a chance to buy it if you don't pay your loan back. So
Hmm.
it is a good alternative. As far as unstaking goes, I don't know how efficient that'll be yet. But again, it can't be any worse than the straight up hex contract is. Hopefully it'll save people some money there too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Different ways of doing things for sure. So yeah, turn to matcha.xyz to actually buy EHEX, which I mean, clearly everybody is right now. I don't know how much in the near future people would just be looking to buy EHEX because we know what people are going to be doing on Pulse Chain, obviously. But definitely good things to know to lessen these ETH gas fees. And we're hoping the Pulse Chain obviously puts a big dent into that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of what most of the
Well,
purpose
and we're
of
also hoping that the Ethereum guys fix the problems too with
yeah.
with the roll ups and things like that they want to do down the road. So
Mhm.
maybe Pulse Chain will kind of light a fire under them to get their problems fixed as well.
I hope so, and I do think it is showing that maybe not only in like the use of the network, but we've talked about this before, but also in the price appreciation of Ethereum. I think we're just going to start to see some bloat on Ethereum because we've said this before. Like Bitcoin is obviously you're going to get diminishing returns each cycle with pretty much every token, every crypto at this point. And Ethereum, while so many people are unbelievably bullish on Ethereum, remember you are now seeing like more and more old heads or like Bitcoin only people that put Ethereum right there with Bitcoin now. Maybe not like on par, but they're talking about it. I'll tell you
Yep.
this, if you start hearing Michael Saylor like saying that he's buying Ethereum, you might not want to invest in Ethereum any longer.
Yeah, might be time to sell.
It might be time to get out. Which, by the way, Saylor had a really good interview on the Patrick Bet David podcast the other day. I listened to all of today. It was a nice two-parter. But
HEXPassiveIncome.com. My friend Crypto Coffee has created what I think is probably the best course for a new cryptocurrency investor. Not only that, but these courses usually charge an arm and a leg. Crypto Coffee is only charging $200. I think right now he actually has a discount for $150. I have a link below in the description. If you are new to crypto, do not understand HEX and how it works, click the link below. It's a quick, easy course. He only gives you the basics. I personally, myself, have thought about creating an intro to crypto course in the past. I don't think there's any reason to do so because Matt, Crypto Coffee, has already taken care of that. And I don't think anything needs to be added by anybody else. So check it out. The link is in the description and sign up to HEX Passive Income today.